But I'm very pleased to have been invited to speak here. I feel a bit of a fraud because my title is Project Manager Communities for Children 0 to 12, which specifically excludes all of you high school people in the room. But I guess what I'm doing is setting the scene for how the Hubs movement, we're almost calling it in Hume, has worked to date, and how many of us think and hope it can work in high schools as well. How have hubs hummed in schools, in primary schools for the most part, in Hume, and how might that translate to secondary schools? And why might it translate? Why would you even bother? The hub is not necessarily a building. It can be a building. Building is a good thing. It's always good to have a place to have your hub, a place to do things, a place for people to meet and grow. But it's not necessarily a building. It might be a spare classroom, it might be a public park, it might be all sorts of things. But it's a hub in terms of it's a group of people getting together. A hub is a way of working that actively includes parents and students for the purposes of increased learning and social inclusion. We found in the primary schools that engaging parents in a learning journey has also been really valuable to have them work alongside their children, learning together. Hub's a partnership model that includes working with a range of community partners, and I think that would, that can vary against who it is, but a whole range of people can get involved in delivering a hub for the benefit of parents and children and for the benefit of the school as a whole. Research demonstrates that parent engagement in student learning is a key factor for academic success. A key factor is having parents, carers, perhaps I should have said, parents and carers and key adults engaged in the student learning. And Hub is one way of doing that. Hubs are a proven vehicle, and I'm just going to talk today a little bit about the proof that we've had in Hume for primary school settings. It's a proven vehicle to enable parents and teachers to collaborate for the benefit of students. I would say that Hubs work as well in secondary schools as in primary schools. The challenge might be that some of the content and processes might be different, but the whole notion of parent engagement for the benefit of the children and of the community is central to what a hub might be. This is how it's worked and worked well for hubs in primary schools. Step 1, employ a hub coordinator. Part-time, full-time, whatever. Someone to get the thing moving, get motion happening. Secondly, consult your parents about what they think would work, what they want, what they need. Consult your students about what they would want and what they would need. And then implement the results of this formal or informal needs analysis by involving community-based resources. This is a short history of community hubs in Hume, and so I'll do 3 points in time, 2005, 2010 and 2012. 2005, to my knowledge, no school hubs in Hume, but hubs were identified as a central strategy for the then very new Communities for Children funding in Broadmeadows, in the southern part of Hume as it was then. And I was the project manager, and once again I was going, oh yes, it's a good idea, how are we going to do it? And a community organisation, the Brotherhood of St Lawrence, was funded to develop community hubs because they were the ones who had the intellectual property about what's a community hub, how's it worked in other places, what's been happening. So BSL started this whole notion of hubs in Hume. By 2010, there are hubs in 6 primary schools. The needs analysis that I mentioned had been done. 2 reports had been developed that I mentioned earlier, outlining the local models and the local evidence. The Communities for Children final evaluation had included a whole pile of stuff about the value and what had actually been achieved. And what we found was that local hubs have really strong links with the community that they live in, whether it's Coolaroo or Dallas or Broadmeadows or any other place, Meadow Heights, through local participation. And there's some of the numbers. By 2012, we've gone from 6 community hubs to 11, and 9 of those are in southern Hume. There's still a whole sort of developmental process about what about northern Hume? What about, because Communities for Children was only funded in the 6 southern suburbs with the highest disadvantage for the first, up until 2011. It's only in this last year that a hub's been developed, or a hub model is developed in Craigieburn and also in Sunbury. Multiple funding sources, including our own DEECD, Faxia and the Scanlon Foundation, are involved in hubs in Hume. And multiple programs, including adult English, maternal and child health, playgroups, maybe not so relevant, but playgroups were a very important part of hubs in primary schools, and perhaps more relevant, homework clubs and things like that. How much does a hub cost? Well, in our experience, a hub can cost as much as you are prepared to invest in it, and I guess the rewards will be as much as, you know, related to the investment, if you like, but it can cost as little as one part-time worker. So Communities for Children's hubs were funded for approximately $30,000 per annum. So it was a very part-time worker, 1, 2, 3 days a week. Some schools invested their own funds and brought that up to full-time, but others did not. Still, it's as little as that amount. Hubs can then attract a range of community kind of activities and programs, as I mentioned before, from a range of funding sources and from a range of organisations and activities. This is from the Communities for Children Local Evaluation 2010. This is Dallas Community Primary School. Basically, on the first side, which is before C4C, there's a few things happening. There's a playgroup, there's a kindergarten. These are quite important and quite large things, and they're there. There's quite a few things happening. But after Communities for Children, which is the second 2 sides, there's a whole lot more happening. And I can read it. So there's speech and language programs, parent information session, learning Turkish, kinder gym, parent-child mother goose, bilingual storytelling in the community, maternal and child health visits, Smiles for Miles, which is a dental program, adult English education, adult computer classes, Certificate 3 in childcare, Certificate 2 in community support, confident parenting in challenging times, financial literacy course, first aid, volunteer reading in the classrooms, human rights meeting, fun and enjoyably a visit from Joan Kerner. Service providers are Dallas Primary School and Kindergarten, but a whole range of others. Fix Egg, Melbourne City Missions, Hume City Council, the Library Services, Dianella Community Health, VisiCare Learning Centre, Hume Global Learning Centre, Spectrum, a registered training organisation, Arana Family Services, the Smith Family, Hume City Council again, University of the Third Age, Equal Employment Opportunity Board, and so on. So the graphic is designed to show before, a bit happening, after, a whole pile more. And the colours are important too. We colour-coded them. The ones in blue are add-ons that were funded from our own program, from Communities for Children. So hubs and playgroups were like a place where you can put a whole lot of, I don't know, value adds, if you like. You can do a whole lot of educational things in the space you create in a hub or in a playgroup in another setting. And this is not unusual, but we just picked this one. There's several other examples in the evaluation. And probably if you ask them again now, it'd be much greater than that again. What are the outcomes for families and children? And you can read them, but we were able to measure that because there were a whole lot more education and social support activities happening, there were improved child language and literacy. I don't think we were able to go so far as to say without a hub, those children wouldn't have got improvements. But overall, the schools that had them did really well, had hubs, did really well. Established community hubs, no small outcome in itself. Increased awareness of where to go to for help with children. And I think this is a really important one and probably gets more important in the high school setting. So more understanding around for parents and for school-based professionals about, well, what do you do if there is violence in a family? What do you do if there's housing support needed? So I'll tell you very briefly my other sort of story, which is, well, there I am Friday afternoon about lunchtime at my desk, and the phone rings, and it's a primary school principal going, "Colleen, I need your help." I'm going, "Yeah, okay." She said, "Well, there's a lady who's arrived with her 3 children in my, she's come here and she's come with her 3 children and a whole pile of clothes and she's running away from home. And I'm asking you, Colleen, what to do. I'm not a housing worker. I was kind of flattered that she would ask me what to do. I have some general ideas about what to do, so I told her the process. And so she was able to go and get some help for that particular person. The other point of that story has always been for me that, one, that school is particularly good at social inclusion, but two, the awfulness of, if you have to run away from home, having the school as the only place to go. And I think that happens a little bit in some of our communities, and it's good that the school's then able to respond in that particular instance. Increased social connectedness and support. Community members, so parents and other community members are really active in making these community hubs rock, making them hum. For those of you who are a bit maths based, I've got an equation: service coordination, collaboration, integration of programs, pooling of resources, bilingual workers, network meetings, addressing community need. All of that adds up to engagement of families. There's a whole pile of stuff in there that's going to suit many families, perhaps not all, but many families. Engagement for families equals increased participation in hubs equals improvements. Improved outcomes for families and for children. Those things are available on the Lantera United Care website. If anybody wanted to contact me, I'd happily send them a PDF of that or any other information. We've developed a whole range of resources, and so many of you in this room may be aware of the parent-based resources for transition to high school. The other one, which is a DVD, developed in collaboration with a whole lot of agencies, including the LEN, and that came out last year, and that's been very successful, translated into Turkish and Arabic. What we've done is developed a whole lot of local resources and worked in partnership across those community hubs to do those local resources, including just the model development. And I'm hoping that when the schools as community hubs movement takes hold in secondary schools, that you guys will do that too. But I guess that will be up to you. Thank you.